whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto, whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto, whole nother level. Welcome to episode 3 of The Process of Hip Hop. I'm Brian Joseph, writer, blogger at theprocessofhiphop.com, and as always, it's all about the process. In today's interview segment, I'll be talking to hip-hop artist El Prez. El Prez is also the founder and curator for PayDay LA, a Los Angeles hip-hop platform allowing new artists the experience to showcase their talent. So let's get into it. El Prez, how's it going, my brother?
What's going on, G?
I'm so glad that you're here, man. So glad you're able to join the podcast. So I wanted to start with, man, if you could tell me about your background and like specifically, like how'd you get interested into hip hop?
Well, I've always been interested in hip hop, especially since one of my parents used to work, in the record industry and stuff. And my parents were young anyway, so I got exposed pretty early on. Run DMC, LL, of course, Sugar Hill Gang, all that type of stuff. So I pretty much got exposed to a lot of the basics of hip hop stuff throughout the 80s. Really close, and, it was really in my life a lot because it was always around. My parents weren't old and, against listening to rap music or what is that and stuff. My parents were like 20, so. They was buying all the stuff. Half the stuff I got exposed to, I got exposed to through them as a kid and stuff through rap. But my background is I'm a rapper from Inglewood, out here in Los Angeles, so I've been around for a while, over 10 years, probably closer to 15. But I kind of popped during the blog era, two Dope Boys, Nah Right, Hip Hop DX, all that type of stuff, all hip hop. And I've did stuff in songs and shows with everybody from Kendrick to, Dom to, certainly my people's You and I, Thurs. There's another dope artist from Inglewood that's out here that I popped off with, Pac Div, Blue, you name it. I probably worked with them, Freddie Gibbs. So I put out a few projects and mixtapes, probably over 6-7 tapes. I did some stuff with Jansport J, did a project called Prez Sport that we did through Delicious Vinyl and stuff. And my latest project I dropped in 2017 with homie Cooper Troop, producer from NY. We dropped this project called Lab Trap in California. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a while out here in LA, and I got on just from, living through my namesake of being, the Prez, being a leader for the people and stuff like that. So, I was always somebody that's around. I have great networking and relationships with a lot of the artists and everybody. And, especially when my shit was at a high point, I was performing all the time throughout the city and, throughout the country, did a couple of tours, definitely South by, A3C, all of those type of things I've been doing since 2009. So, I just used all of that as an artist and decided that people needed to get an event. So, now I also had an event curator that I've been doing for the past, 2+ years. I started off with Broccoli City that does like the Broccoli City Fest and all that stuff in DC. But out here in LA, they used to do stuff, and I started with them. We used to do a hip hop weekly show. We used to have everybody from Lil Brother to Danny Brown. So cats like Scheme and definitely a lot of West Coast cats. And so around 2018, top of 2018, I saw it was a big gap in a lot of the younger cats performing out here in LA and decided to start an event. So I started this event called PayDay. And we've been going strong and growing it into the best rap showcase in LA in the past almost 2 years.
And it's one of the things that I thought was really, really great that you were doing is because you have people that are trying to be artists, but there's not a platform. So kind of describe what exactly PayDay LA is. I mean, if I'm an aspiring artist, take me through what exactly you do.
Well, basically, PayDay LA is a platform, that's built for artists that are, for fans that are proud to pay artists that are, out here and paying their dues. So that's basically where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? Even before, passing the Nipsey and stuff, rest in peace. We already had that as part of our, mantra and stuff, was really finding those super fans and those fans that are willing to see new talent and catch the talent before they blow up, which is definitely a big segment and sector of people. And, concentrate on those fans those artists that are actually out here putting in work and not treating it as a hobby, what I'm saying, investing in itself, investing in their brand, creating a buzz and creating a fan base for themselves out here in the city. And it gives them an opportunity to rock on a dope show and a stage, etc. that isn't, something like a gallery or in somebody's backyard or warehouse or whatever, where a lot of these things have been taking place, because in LA hasn't been a lot of hip hop or opportunities to perform hip hop shows. I mean, so for these type of rising artists, you either got to be on a tour coming to the city, or you got to pay to get on, like, Young Thug or whoever coming through, to the city. Mm-hmm. And when my shit was really popping, when we had that whole era popping, it was a lot of opportunities to perform. I was able to perform all the time, whether it was free or paid. I still had opportunity to perform everywhere from Key Club to Roxy, House of Blues, Whiskey a Go-Go, all type of stuff out here in LA. So we just wanted to create something on that level that'd give the artist, a bigger showcase for their talent and a bigger showcase for their content. So because when they're on stage with those lights and everything like that, and we provide that dope crowd of fans that actually want to see new music and hear new music, the artists really appreciate that. And the fans appreciate that they're able to see artists for, a ridiculously low price that they probably gonna have to pay $30 plus to see at a festival or something in 6 months, Rolling Loud, what have you. Or on a concert or tour or whatever. So we try to catch those new cats, the new faces of tomorrow, and showcase them before they get there. So, artists see that and they see the opportunity in it. And so, we look for those type of artists. So if your video is dope and you're out here in LA and you got you a nice professionally or just dope creative type of video, you got your music released for sale, because in 2019 there's no way you shouldn't be putting up your music for free. You should be having it on Spotify and anything like that. So if they got that all set up, your social media isn't like non-existent, is at least something on your social media, and it isn't about followers and things like that. It's just about trajectories and directions where these artists are going. And a lot of those type of metrics help me and definitely helps others in the industry, in general. This is advice for people to know if these artists are really serious about it, or if they just want to get their little 15 seconds of fame. They 100 likes for the day, and then they're on to something else 6 months from now. So you really want those artists that are ready to invest and really ready to invest creatively in their brand and into themselves, and see that as an opportunity, and performing on the PayDay stage. Because we're gonna bring label people, we have radio people, we have, in addition to those, super fans and fans that come out.
So let me ask you, because you've been an artist, you have experience as an artist. Tell me, do you see with the artists that are coming up now? You said something important, that it shouldn't be a hobby; it's got to be something more serious than that. What do you see as like the work ethic for artists that are coming out in your experiences? And again, obviously, I'm just kind of asking you to generalize here, but What do you see as the work ethic? Do you see that? Because many times I feel like that gets kind of undervalued and underestimated, just how hard an artist has to work to be successful. So what do you see right now from these up and coming artists?
Well, I think, that's definitely a great point, that the ease of access has lowered the bar, because a lot of times the artists are a little too concentrated on their numbers and the whole aspect of just getting it out first and, having it up and having it out there. When, 10 years ago, a lot of these songs would be people's demos, the ease of access has lowered the bar. So a lot of the artists, they're more worried about just, hey, let me just finish the song and get it out, and we'll put it out. And fans are basically following artists from the demo stage these days, whereas before you wouldn't get all that access. You wouldn't see that artist that early in their career and stuff. And so a couple things that happen are that if something is popping or somebody pops off doing one thing, especially in this day and age, everybody wants to create the formula and follow it. So if they see one artist get off of just doing some half-ass shit, they're like, well, fuck it. I ain't got to do everything. I'm going to just go do this half-ass shit too. And then it turns from being an outlier into being a norm, you know, to where now they expect that that's what you're supposed to do when you create a rap record or you create a music record, period. And so then when you get them on a more professional level, or you get them in them bigger rooms and them real studio rooms where the people are in there and they don't know how to put together a song or put together a hit song or, you know, things of that nature, it's because, you know, the bar is lower so much for all these new artists and nobody is curating the shit. Nobody is pulling them to the side and say, hey, you need to take some more time on this verse, or you need to take some more time on the music. And so what also happens too with this generation, so it's a big entitlement. You know, this is the participation trophy generation. So,
yeah,
you know, they expect to just be coddled and babied through everything, and they don't realize that this is the real deal. You know, this is a business, and it's like the NBA or anything else. Everybody ain't supposed to make it. You know, everybody can't go on the ride. So it's like you have to really stick out. And you have to really elevate yourself. You can't just be somebody that knows how to dribble well and stuff. You got to know how to play the game as well as, you know, utilizing your talent and optimizing your talent. And so a lot of these artists these days, in which these are things that we try to teach them, you know, is the value of putting in a work ethic on your stuff. And those are the type of artists that we look for. And so what happens, even by example, them being on bills with other artists that know how to do that, and we book them with artists that you normally wouldn't be able to see on a platform of mine because they probably on tour or getting paid a good amount. You know what I'm saying? Anybody from Daylight to Cooley High to, we've had Dylan Park, you know, all sorts of stuff. So it's like, these artists, they get to see that and they get to see, oh, well, this artist works like this, huh? Maybe I need to switch my shit up or work a little harder on it. But you have to tell them, you know, and so it's about platforms such as PayDay that's out there to educate these cats and let them know that, you know, you need to spend a little more effort on your stuff before you put it out there to the world and have a game plan. You know, there's so many artists that have no game plan. They just record the record. They spend all that time in the studio and money on the studio and weed for the studio and drinks and all that shit. And then they do that and have no money set aside or plan to market the fucking record. And that's the problem. You know, that's where the work ethic and all of this stuff comes in, where I'm cut from a different cloth. I come from earlier era, you know. Like I was talking with the homie Bad Luck about this the other day, you know, about how we need to instill all that more into these cats. Is about, we cut from that other cloth where it wasn't a fucking a computer everywhere, you know, where it was barely Pro Tools and stuff, or it might be one person on your block that might have had production equipment and stuff to record a record and all this shit. And it's like, you really had to go hard to get up in the booth or, you know, and compete with other cats in order to get in there and record your record or get in the studio or, you know, and then you had to press it up on a CD and then go figure out how to go sell it, you know, or sign to a label and get it into, you know, an avenue where listeners could see it and have the opportunity to buy the record. All of that shit is different nowadays, you know. So with all of those things gone, there's no appreciation for the hard work that you have to actually put in to put a record out and have a music career. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's more difficult. I mean, because of, or in your experiences, you have gatekeepers. I like to call them gatekeepers, and these are the individuals that are basically putting an artist on, the decision makers. How has, like, for example, your A&R in people, your producers, your executive producers, how has that changed from when you were just starting to now?
Well, I mean, man, when I was really just starting, which was dope about my shit, I popped off like the blog era, right? Which is around 2007, 8, something like that. And all the way to probably like 2013. Um, Before that, when cats were trying to get on, it was like you got to get on a showcase, some label showcase or some form of showcase in front of label people, or you had to meet a label person or know somebody that knew somebody that get you in the meeting, and you literally had to go rap for somebody and then play your songs, that old school shit. Um, and so all of those things used to exist where I used to hate that because the gatekeepers then just had a stranglehold on everything. It really was like, yo, I have to know this person and know that person or kiss this person ass or, what have you, in order to even get in the room. And then, the internet and the blogs and stuff kind of leveled that playing field where they went straight to different tastemakers. The blog people were the gatekeepers and the A&Rs and the radio person all rolled in one now. So that's the difference, is that those positions and things have changed. And now that we've had around 10 years plus of, from the blogs and everything like that, of artists really pushing their shit and being able to get on iTunes and all that with no problem, to now being able to get on all the DSPs with no problem, to being able to get a lot of marketing and shit with no problem. The artists taking amongst themselves. So when you start doing that, you don't want to listen to other people. So a lot of these artists don't want to listen, and a lot of them don't realize they need other people to do these things, because they're like, oh, well, you can do everything yourself. You upload a CD, baby, blah blah blah. You record it on your computer. I mean, you can make the beat on Fruity Loops, record it on your computer. You can upload it to CD, baby, or SoundCloud, and all that, or you can upload it there, and it gets on Spotify and everything. Like, it's that easy now. So there's nobody to check the assembly line. There's no supervisor, like, what they call that shit. I'm drawing a blank.
Foreman.
Quality control,
Yeah.
There's no quality control right now to say, hey, this goods is damaged. While I grew up in the era, and a lot of us older artists grew up in the era of everybody in the studio, you had to say your verse before you was able to walk in the booth and record the verse. They don't deal with none of that type of stuff until they get to a certain plateau. And that's the thing. Now that all of this stuff is mutated and and elevated and stuff, once you get to 2019, now all of that Wild West shit niggas was doing with the blogs have been done with. Now the industry has figured out how to remain the industry again. So now it's back to having to know somebody, having to know these people to get on these playlists and all these type of things. So it's the same game. It's just the positions have changed. The buildings have changed. That's all it is. Instead of you going to the label and have to know somebody there, you got to know somebody at Spotify, YouTube, things like that, which is where platforms like PayDay come in and help. But a lot of these artists, they have no idea they need a manager, or they don't know what it is. They have no idea they need somebody to check and balance the records they're putting out. I did artist management recently through doing PayDay, and that was one of the things that I bumped heads with a lot of artists, with a couple of the artists that I was working with. They didn't want to listen. It was like, hey, ain't no point of a manager if you don't want to listen to what the person is saying. And you need people around you to help you come up with a plan and all this shit. And they have no idea that. So, that's definitely something that's different from then to now. But it's changing. You got street A&Rs, Sycamore, great dude. If you don't know about him, classic dude. Used to do the mixtapes back in the day. He was ahead of his time on a lot of the artists. He reached out to me long ass time ago, and a lot of other internet and blog artists. And then, he jumped up to doing YG and all this other stuff. And now he's executive A&R or something at one of these labels. But he's just a free roaming A&R, You got a lot of people like that, nowadays that are, you just know if they the person that just helps people with their shit, independent wise or whatever. And you still got to pay these people. You know, so I think that's a thing too. They gotta understand
Right.
that it's a business. So the A&Rs and everybody, they here, bro, but the other A&Rs is actually in the buildings. They ain't really A&Rs. You know, they number crunchers now. So
Now,
you
now,
know.
now, let me ask you: do you think that this slightly off topic? Do you think that because it's easier, why has the style of rap changed? I'm just thinking back from my generation, where again, obviously you had a Rakim, you had a Nas, you had a Biggie, Jay-Z, Pac. How what do you think is the reason for the style of rap changing? With the process being easier, I mean, because you have that artist knowledge, do you think that has anything to do with it?
Nah, I actually just think styles change, man. You know, what's once new is eventually gonna be called old school. Nigga, Dougie Fresh said that, Karis One said that, everybody says that. This is what happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, hip hop has to evolve, and it doesn't necessarily mean it evolves up or down or whatever. You know, it could be linear, but hip hop evolves. And so with hip hop growing bigger and turning from something that wasn't even played during the daytime on the radio to now it's the world is the number one genre of music. It's the biggest culture, exported out of America. It's the biggest exporter of American culture. This is worldwide, so you got a lot more hands in the pot, so to say. You got a lot more influences. You got a lot more people's backgrounds and histories and cultures and shit put into the music now. And so that influences the styles. That influences how people do stuff and technology. So you have a point there where the ease of use does influence it. Jay saying Jay and Biggie saying they don't write their rhymes influence, the styles. More people saying, oh, well, I don't want to write my rhymes. You know, I'm a person, I used to write, and a long ass time ago, I had stopped writing because I write it after I formulate the verse. Don't get me wrong, but I stopped doing it because you get a different feel, and it's just my technique on doing stuff. Everybody has all sorts of techniques, just like everybody has all sorts of styles. So mumble rap, all that type of shit, it's just different styles. And it's a time and place for everything. So I don't really knock people on their shit. Technology makes it a lot easier to just go in there and say whatever the fuck is on your mind, though, you know, um, without thinking about anything about like studio time and shit, because you're not paying for the studio time, or the studio time is so cheap. Bro, I'm from the era you paying 75 and up if you want to be in some big time shit per hour. These cats ain't paying that these days to be in some nice shit, or they doing it for free. So you have more freedom of expression and shit to do shit and to just say, oh, well, I'm done with that song. Let me move to the next. Lil Wayne doing his documentary with the Carter, I think it was. And he in the hotel room and he recording himself on the laptop with the mic and shit in the hotel, like during the day. And his output is infamous. Shit like that influences the culture because you got people that's watching that. Keep that in mind. You got people that are just now getting introduced to hip hop that are watching that, so they think that's what hip hop is. And we don't do a lot of teaching of the past in hip hop blatantly. Subconsciously we do, but not blatantly. So a lot of these artists, you got to look at their entry point into hip hop. And so, like you said before, to us it may look like an outlier, but to them it might be the norm. So the new person coming in, they think they gotta mumble, or they think they gotta harmonize and use auto tune like now, And sometimes it makes whack shit, but then sometimes it can make crazy shit like JID or Earth Gang, or. But everything got they platform. Rakim is my favorite artist all the time. I love Freddie Gibbs right now. That's my nigga. But even if he wasn't a homie, that's one of my favorite artists. But I also love O3 Greedo. I love Playboy Cardi. So it's a time and place for everything. I feel, man, and we've always had it. So.
Do you think there's a potential though for hip hop to get back to that very much again kind of, and I'll just call it the golden age of hip hop, if you want to say the 90s or what have you, Do you think that there's a possibility where it goes back to that, where it really, really becomes back to that lyrical content that really, really made hip hop what it is today from a establishment standpoint? Do you think that that will go back to that? Or as you said, you made a great point in terms of it just continues to evolve and it may or may not. What do you think?
No, I definitely do. I think it's coming back now. My point is my earlier point in saying that it ebbs and flows. You know, it doesn't devolve or evolve per se. You know, it we've had our eras where you had the super lyrical shit, and then you know we all remember the mid 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Ringtone rap in that era and shit. We remember that shit. The music wasn't that good. Then you had the blog era, and the blog era to me is like the last true lyric type of shit because you had everybody was different, everybody was dope. Niggas was coming from all over, probably all 50, you know, damn near all 50 states. It was somebody dope coming out and shit like that. And that's when the festival shit started really popping off too, around 2009, 2010. And you get people like Cole and Drake and all these people really start you know, cementing themselves, and Kendrick, of course, you know. So you get the lyrics coming in, and then you know, it turned into everybody just want to mosh pit and shit like that. You get Travis and all these people. So the last 3 to 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, people are just wanting to evoke that feeling. So you still get that feeling, right? But it's still hip hop. It just they ain't rapping, you know. And you got to think about one thing too before I make my point is that we the biggest culture now. So a lot of these artists and fans that are rappers or rap fans or hip hop fans now, 10 years ago might have been alternative fans, alternative artists, rock artists, you know, other genres. Hip hop is the biggest genre, so everything is a big ass umbrella now. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it's coming back though, man. I think the underground is really about to rise. Is really about to rise back up if they haven't been on that path already. Because shit like Griselda and all that type of shit of selling those records and how they're not just, you know, building fan bases. They got dedicated ass fans that buy shit. So they're cultivating these big ass fan bases. So I kind of see the underground kind of rising more up again, where you're gonna start seeing a lot of people taking that formula and going that route. You know, like Freddie Gibbs and Madlib did with the shits, and the Zelda shit, and you know, look at Earl Sweatshirt and all of them kids out here in LA that do that hard ass sample shit. And all that hip hop shit with the lyrics and everything, they go in, but it's just totally different. You know, I love Rock Marcy right now and shit like that. And it's underground. It's that lyric shit I used to love with Wu and Nas and, you know what I'm saying, Mos and all that type of shit. But it's different. It ain't the same. It's different from the cadence to the style to the rhyme pattern, all that. So that's just showing how hip hop changes, man. So.
Where would you like to see PayDay LA go, let's say 3 to 5 years? What would you like to see that become?
Well, we definitely are reaching that festival status before that, actually, in like the next year. You know what I'm saying? We want to be able to do that within the next year or two, but we definitely want to be able to have a festival and a Roman concert series, you know, a festival and brand as far as artist services and, you know, being a full-fledged artist agency, helping artists. And not necessarily, it isn't about management, it's more about branding and stuff, which is what we help out with now. You know, because the artists, they love our shit. And you can ask the artists, you know, from that's been on our bill, they'll give you testimonials about it. Because we don't do just the basic shit. We give them a stage and shit to rock on. But then we also do playlists that's available on all the DSPs. We do interviews for them, artist interviews with Homegrown Radio Network, which is, you know, what we talking about radio does the interviews. But Homegrown Radio, that's the homie Chuck Dizzle and DJ Head. So we give people all of these eyes and all of these opportunities, you know, on our platform in addition to just rocking on the stage. You know, our social media, we do stuff on there. We do articles, you know, things of that nature. So, and then we connect them. We have label heads that be in the building, from Rostrum to Aftermath to Atlantic, to Capital, you know. And then in addition to that, we also have music companies. So we've had Song Trader in the building, Plight.io, which is an artist services platform. You know, we've had a lot of these cats in the building now, so that just adds to everything, and people see the value in it. So in 3 to 5 years, it's all about just building those relationships and those brands to eventually becoming, you know, that one-stop shop for the artist. If you want to get on in LA and eventually in your city, you have to get on the PayDay LA platform, you know.
Now, speaking of which, and you talked about your social media, and I want you to kind of answer this from two. If I'm a fan of PayDay LA, what's the best way for me to stay in touch with you? And if I'm an aspiring artist, what's the best way for me to pursue that with PayDay LA? So kind of answer both of those sides, if you could.
Yeah, well, definitely, if you're a fan and artist, follow us on the social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram. You can hit us up at PayDay_LA, PAYDAY_LA. And if you want to submit, we always got an email, and we always throw up posts letting people know what dates we have available and stuff. And you hit us up at submitpaydayla@gmail.com. And all you gotta do is follow us, send us a couple, you know, links, no attachments. We prefer Spotify links, you know, and our YouTube video links, things of that nature. And you know, only rule is you just gotta be dope. Doesn't matter what kind of music you're doing, but we concentrate on quality hip hop. You know, we don't do a bunch of cats on stage jumping around over some trap beats, you know what I'm saying, yelling and shit. We don't do shit like that, you know, but we do everybody from all over the country, down south, everywhere, you know. So it don't matter if you on some hard lyric shit like Daylight, or if you on some big trap shit, you know, or if you on, you know, some LA ratchet type of stuff like AZ Sway or something, you know. So it doesn't matter. We get everybody and everybody in between. As long as you popping and got a buzz and you investing in yourself and investing in your brand, we'll rock with you.
Well, El Prez, thank you so much for joining the Process of Hip Hop podcast. Best of luck to you and PayDay LA in the future, my brother.
No problem, man. Thanks again for having me, man. Good luck.
Hope you've enjoyed episode 3 of The Process of Hip Hop. The Process of Hip Hop is produced and edited by me, Brian Joseph. Executive produced by Dale Harewood. Music by DJ Big Mike of Realside Records at realsiderecords.com.